Marlene Hurst, president of Hurst Review Services, and I bet you can already tell that we're not from the same place. I want to thank you for taking Hurst Review, and I also want to say congratulations because we know how difficult nursing school is, and we haven't forgotten what it's like to be a nursing student. I wish that I could see through the screen and meet each of you. I have a picture of you in my mind, and I bet that you will call me Aunt Marlene by the end of this review. Let me assure you that we are going to give you everything you need to pass the first time so you can go ahead and pay for the car you already have picked out, okay? Now see, that's good news. Everybody in this class can pass the first time if they choose to. When you finish this class, it will be your choice because we are going to lay it out for you on a silver platter and make it as easy as it possibly can be. There's only one person that wants you to pass more than we do, and that's your mother. Can you believe that you have finally finished nursing school? Can you believe it's really over? I bet some of you are still walking around feeling like you've got a paper to turn in, right? And now, after everything you've been through, you still have one more test to take, the dreaded NCLEX exam. But you don't have to dread it anymore because we are here to help you. And like I said, we want you to pass the first time, and passing the first time is our expertise. So come on inside and we will show you how to tackle this NCLEX exam. Now, let me tell you a little about how Hurst Review started. I have always wanted to teach and have always loved teaching. I just never knew that I would be teaching nursing school. But when I went to nursing school, I knew for sure that I wanted to be a nursing instructor one day. So I got my very first teaching job, sat down at my very first meeting, and the first thing on the agenda was the pass rate at the school, and believe me, they needed help. And since I was the new person there, and since I was the only one still smiling at the table, they put me in charge of helping those people pass boards. Now, that was when you could only take boards twice a year. So I had 6 months to work, and in those 6 months, we took those students to an 89% pass rate and then to a 100% pass rate. Lucky for me, the director that I was working for felt that I had a knack for NCLEX and encouraged me to pursue a career in NCLEX review, and that's what I've done. Since 1988, I have helped thousands of nursing students pass their NCLEX the first time and have remediated many students who came to me after being unsuccessful on their NCLEX. All of these experiences, teaching in nursing programs, being the director of a nursing program, working with schools with poor pass rates, working with students who have been unsuccessful, and working in the hospital, all of these have helped me learn what works and what doesn't work on NCLEX. This class became in such demand, I had to find a way to expand. And I set out not only to find qualified instructors, but first and foremost, they had to share my love and empathy for nursing students. I have more than 100 faculty in the Hurst Review family, so just let me brag on them for a minute. The Hurst faculty are from different areas of nursing, and I think that's very important. So when we sit down at our meetings throughout all different areas of expertise, nursing practice, and education to pull from, so we can validate that we are in compliance with the NCLEX test plan. Now, we not only discuss content and the latest and greatest NCLEX information, but we also spend a lot of time planning how to present information too. We want to present the information in a way that is easily understood. All of my faculty have completed a program of NCLEX study the Hurst Review way. We are the only review company in the country that has a special training program for faculty, so you can be assured that your teacher is an NCLEX expert. Now, we know one thing for sure, and we'll be the first ones to admit it. We do not know everything in the whole wide world because no one does. So, if you ask us a question and we don't know the NCLEX answer immediately, we will find out and let you know, okay? Now, anytime you're adjusting to a new teacher and learning style, there's always a certain degree of anxiety because you don't know them and they don't know you. So, all we ask is that you give us a little time to see how we do things. It'll take a page or so to get accustomed to how we lecture, but you will like it. Already, we have one thing in common. You want to pass, and we want to help you pass. So we're starting out on common ground, and we want to work together to make it happen for you. All right, there are some things we need to talk about before we even get into content. This information is very important even though it's not about Med-Surg, OB, Peds, or Psych. When I started reviewing students, I realized the first thing I had to do was improve my understanding of the actual test, the reason behind it, what it stands for, its purpose, what is it trying to accomplish. Once I understood these concepts about NCLEX, it opened up an entire new way of thinking for me. And this thinking led me to strategies that had nothing to do with classroom or textbook content. I am talking about the NCLEX mindset. As you approach every question, I want you to be thinking NCLEX-y because it is different thinking than you have experienced in your nursing classroom or clinical. The reason I'm talking about this first is that if you don't understand how the NCLEX people think and understand what they are trying to achieve or accomplish, you won't answer NCLEX questions correctly. So let's work on thinking NCLEX-y. Do you know the purpose of NCLEX? Well, the purpose of NCLEX is to protect the public. You need to accept something right now. Everybody is scared of you. The patients, the hospital, the housekeeping department, everybody. They're afraid you are going to hurt them, okay? Why do you think they put a different color nursing student uniform on you? That's just the way it is. Every question is a test to see if you are going to hurt someone or not. So, do we all agree this is a test to protect the public and that everyone is scared of you? Okay, now, let's stop right here and get straight in our minds exactly who the public is. It's not just a group of people that you don't know. It's you, me, your boyfriend, husband, wife, children, mama, papa, all your friends. See what I mean? You want those people to be protected, right? Now, remember that person in your class you were always just a little leery of? Okay, that is who the NCLEX wants to protect us from. So, how does this affect the way you approach the test? Going into the test, you need to know that every question has a safety issue hidden in it, even though you may not sense it. No matter what, there is a safety issue in the question, even though they make the client sound stable and good and happy and there's no problem and everything's going great. Bombshell. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Nancy Grace. Rule. There are no happy NCLEX questions. Now, I know this sounds harsh, but you must pretend someone is dying in every single question. They're going to see if you'll recognize someone who is dying or if you'll just sit there and be happy with them while they die, since the patient doesn't seem to be in any distress. Another thing about the NCLEX is that it is a judgment test. You cannot just read a book and have good judgment. That's why you will hear people come out of the test saying, nothing on that test is in nursing school. None of those questions came from anything I had ever heard of before. I can't even find it in a book anywhere. Now, the only way to learn judgment is to practice it. Be in situations where you have to exercise it, live it, and watch your teachers and other nurses role model it. We are going to do a lot this week to improve your judgment skills. We want your judgment skills to make the NCLEX people happy. If you make the NCLEX people happy, then you are keeping more people alive and safe. And remember, a safe nurse is a better nurse. And that's the kind of nurse we want caring for the public. You have heard people say, NCLEX is testing minimum competency. Why do I bring that up? Because I don't want the words minimum competency to give you false assurance. Surely I'm minimum. I went to the hardest nursing school. You say, I've already got a job over here in the neuro ICU. Surely they wouldn't hire me if I wasn't at least minimum. Yes, they would, wouldn't they? Until you fail NCLEX, that is. There's someone else I want to introduce you to that will help you improve your NCLEX mindset. And it's the NCLEX lady, and she's written every question. In nursing school, you had to make your teachers happy, right? Well, now you have to make the NCLEX lady happy. If you can understand how the NCLEX lady thinks of you, then you'll answer more test questions correctly. So, how does she think of you? She thinks of you as a brand new nurse with 2 weeks of vast nursing knowledge. I said 2 weeks of vast nursing knowledge, and you're like, well, I know more than that. Well, not to the NCLEX people. They think of you as a brand new nurse with 2 weeks of vast nursing knowledge. And we're going to show you how knowing that's the way they think of you will affect the way you answer test questions. There are people who have trouble thinking like a brand new nurse, and usually these are LPNs and paramedics because they have experience. You see, you already know when you picked an answer based on what you had done or seen in the hospital, it was always wrong, wasn't it? Right. This class is going to help you get back to thinking like a brand new nurse. Good news! Will someone with 2 weeks of vast nursing knowledge know everything in the whole wide world? No. You cannot know everything in the whole wide world, okay? And they don't expect you to. Thank goodness for that. I've got more good news. We aren't trying to make a 100. Thank goodness. We gave up on that a long time ago, didn't we? Yes. Most of us gave up on the 100 thing with the bed making and back massage test, right? One more thing I need to mention that will help you develop your NCLEX mindset is the NCLEX hospital. In the NCLEX hospital, every department is open 24 hours a day. You have an order for anything that is an option on a test question. The only patient you have is the one on the screen unless they say otherwise. And your only job is to keep people alive and safe, okay? Now, are you thinking NCLEXy? Well, let's move on. We've already said that you don't have to know everything. So what do you have to know if you are a nurse with 2 weeks of vast nursing knowledge? Core content. From time to time, a student will come up to us and say, well, you didn't go over this and you didn't go over that, and what about this? Well, we could sit here forever, but I think you want to get on with life. It took you 2 years to make it through, well, maybe more for some of you, just to get through nursing school. Let's not study for 2 more years. This is a review, and we are going to focus on core content. We have been doing this for about 20 years now and have seen what nursing content has stood the test of time. These years of NCLEX experience have brought us a deeper understanding of what a brand new nurse needs to know. You're going to see there is a system to this. There is a strategy for this. It all focuses on understanding core content. Well, what is core content? That's what's in your student notes that you have sitting in front of you. Core content is the textbook information that has stood the test of time and what every nurse must know to practice. Rule. It's the stuff you have to know without a doubt and without hesitation if you want to even have a chance of passing the first time. When you go to the computer center, you have to have a certain amount of information that nobody can change your mind about. You are the expert on this information. Now, did I say you had to know everything? No. Did I say that you had to go back and get all your spiral-bound notebooks that you have all the fluorescent tabs down the sides organized so perfectly and review those? No. Did I say you had to go back and read your med-surg book? No. We didn't read it in school. Why are we going to start now? Another thing is this. Every lecture, every sentence has been placed in a certain order on purpose. You see, you have to know the core content in a certain way in order for our method to work. This information is organized according to body systems because that's what you are most accustomed to. Every sentence on your page has been placed there for a reason, either to introduce a new concept now or introduce something that's going to prepare you for the next page or for something that's going to happen in OB later on, all right? So everything in this class is planned and on purpose. It is a building process. It's not just lecturing at random. It's a strategy. And you will not understand everything you need to know until you have had the entire review. So have patience and don't let your mind get ahead of you and start wandering to other topics. Stay with us. Stay centered and focused. You're going to drive yourself crazy if you don't. Now, when you look at all the student materials in your packet, you may be saying, well, where's the rest of it? Some of you are like, well, we have more notes than this in nursing school for unit exams. Well, the way we teach and the way I've written these lectures over the years is integrated. It's conceptualized, meaning if you understand this material properly, you can apply it to lots of different situations. This means just because we're talking about fluids and electrolytes, that doesn't mean that's all we're talking about. I'm going to start bringing in lots of different concepts when we talk about fluids and electrolytes, okay? I'm going to start talking about the heart, the kidneys, even the endocrine system. I may even throw in a psych patient. I'm going to talk about the OB person when we get into electrolytes as well. And guess what? It's all going to make sense and you are going to like it. I can take a large amount of content and condense it down into a smaller amount of content that's much more digestible. When you take a vitamin, you take 20 or more nutrients in that one little pill. Now don't get excited, we do not have an NCLEX pill, but that is how we have compressed this material. A lot of essential data meshed together through a few key concepts. If I gave you a big old fat book like this, you'd say, okay, good, I'm going to go and get some highlighters. You see, I believe students do better when you give them a small amount to master than when you give them a whole bunch of information and just hope they learn something. Now, I don't know about you, but when I got out of nursing school, I didn't know what I knew and what I didn't know. I was just packing my stuff and getting out of there before they stopped me. They had crammed so much information in my head for 2 years, and I never had a chance to go back and review. You think you will. That's why you kept your notes so organized with the hot pink tabs down the side, right? Yeah, I'm going to review these one day. No, you're not, okay? You're not going to have time. That's the problem with it. So what we are going to do in here is we're going to go back and we're going to make a certain amount of content nice, neat, organized, and understood. More good news. NCLEX is not about learning more and more and more stuff. NCLEX is about being able to take what you do know, even if you only know this much, and generate a safe answer that makes the NCLEX people happy. In other words, the NCLEX lady, the little lady who's holding on to your license, wants to make sure that even though you only know a little, you can take care of people safely. To test that, she was going to put you in some strange situations. Odds are it may even be a situation that you have never heard of before. Now, in nursing school, if you had a test question on a topic you had not studied for, you could always count on Jim or whomever to go to the teacher during the test and confront her about it. Now look, Instructor Johnson, this wasn't on our handout. On NCLEX, what I don't want you to do is panic and say, oh my goodness, I've never heard of this before. Click C and hope insulin is the next question. Rule, if I've never heard of it, nobody else has either. So this is what I want you to say to yourself if this should happen to you. I'm going to answer this question to the best of my ability and move on. The Hearst people said this would happen, so I'm not going to let it bother me. Next question, please. So exactly what are we going to do in this review to get you prepared? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to improve your judgment. We're going to role model critical thinking and application by telling you the why about things. Knowing why is one of the main things that will affect your judgment. NCLEX is really examining your judgment skills. One of the best ways to increase critical thinking and judgment is to learn the why behind your causes, why behind signs and symptoms, and why about your nursing interventions. For example, I don't really care that you know that the SED rate increases in rheumatoid arthritis. I know some of you just got scared because you didn't know that. That's okay. We're on the first day. What I do care about is if you know why the SED rate increases in rheumatoid arthritis. Because if you know why, then you don't have to memorize. And your critical thinking and application skills just went up. And therefore your grade just went up. And your chance of passing boards the first time just went up. So we're going to tell you all the whys that we know. We don't assume that you know the why. Some of this may seem basic from time to time, but we have to assume you know nothing because we don't know each of you personally. We want you to have a true understanding of content. No more memorization. This is a thinking class. You do not learn to think the NCLEX way on the first day. It's a whole process from day one, okay? Every once in a while, we are going to differ from what your teachers have said. Now, we are not saying your teachers are wrong, but what we are focusing on is passing NCLEX. So don't get upset if we differ with your teachers from time to time or your hospital. Our primary focus is to help you pass NCLEX. Now, throughout the review, you will be going over critical thinking exercises. Well, what is that? A clinical example, a situation we are going to put you in that you may have never thought about before. The exercises can be very difficult. Some people tell us, I missed all of your critical thinking exercises. Well, that's okay. We want to challenge you. If we only gave you really easy examples, then everybody would leave here with a false sense of reassurance. We want to learn the difficult stuff in here, not at the testing center, okay? This is the time to get it wrong. Don't get discouraged, though, if you miss something. If you missed it, the majority of the other people missed it too. Just learn from it. That's all we ask. Also, we want you to be able to verbalize information. By the end of this review, we don't want to be the only ones that can say the material. We don't want to be the only ones talking, okay? But we'll tell you when we want you to talk. All right. Because in my experiences with nursing students, I have found that when they can say it, the information starts moving into the long-term memory and now they can pass. If you can talk it out rather than memorizing, then that shows a higher level of understanding, and that is what you need to critically think. If you cannot say it, and I don't mean to sound abrupt, but you're probably going to fail it. So we've got to get you to talking. Well, don't worry. We don't point at people and make them answer a question. We don't believe in intimidation and embarrassing people and stressing people out. So don't get scared if we make eye contact with you. We're not about to make you answer a question in front of everybody. Also, when you are interactive with us, then we can tell if you're understanding or not. And it also makes the time go a lot faster when you're more involved. Now, how do we get you to verbalize content? All right. Go ahead right now and introduce yourself to the person sitting next to you, even if you've been in nursing school with them for the past 2 years. From time to time, we are going to give a clinical example and then say, ask a friend. This is your cue to start chit-chatting with the person sitting next to you about the clinical example. There are going to be times when we are going to give you a scenario and you're going to look at your friend and you're just going to be looking at them. You'll be like, nothing's coming to mind. I don't have anything to say. I don't know what to say. And sometimes you'll think you better get a new friend, okay? This will all get better if you practice it. But if you don't practice it, that is exactly what's going to happen to you when you get to the testing center. A question is going to pop up on the screen and nothing's going to come into your mind. Now, we don't want that to happen, now do we? Because then there's not going to be a license in the mail. Then we will go over the answers to the critical thinking exercises the NCLEX way, all right? That's all we're interested in. Let me emphasize this. Everything that we say in here is relative to NCLEX. We know that your teachers have taught you certain things, but we've got to learn to answer the questions to make the NCLEX people happy. So far, we have told you how we're going to prepare you, but some things only you can control. In order for us to help you transition from a student nurse to a graduate nurse and then to an RN, we need to discuss some common stumbling blocks. Now, have you ever heard of emotional baggage? Yes, you have. You have so much baggage from nursing school. There are test questions you got in the first semester of nursing school you are still worried about. Maybe a teacher said something to you at clinical and you just can't get it out of your mind. Some of you even got up a petition at school just to get 2 points back on an exam. Well, holding on to that kind of thinking will only keep you from moving forward and accepting this new way of thinking. It's a new day. Rehashing it, re-exploring, dissecting it will not help you on NCLEX. You've got to let it go. You don't need it. Also, As you go through this material, we don't want you to become overwhelmed. If you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, that's probably because you're just getting tired. Just remember, this is what we want you to do, and this is very important. We want you to understand us at the moment that we are talking about something, one sentence at a time. That's it. We're happy with that. It is going to take time after this review to go over the material. Repetition is very important. Repetition will help the information go into your long-term memory, okay? We want the information to go into your long-term memory. Sometimes people will say, I don't have problems with content, I just have problems with test anxiety. Well, every once in a while, you will run across someone who really believes ahead of time that their test anxiety is going to make them fail. Well, that's a defense mechanism, okay? What is the #1 nursing diagnosis that describes people who fail boards? Knowledge deficit, okay? That is the priority nursing diagnosis, and it is actual, not potential. My point is this: if we already know that the major thing that makes people fail is a knowledge deficit, if we know this ahead of time, why don't we correct it ahead of time? Before we get into the content, there are just a few more things to go over with you. Earlier, we talked about adjusting to new teachers. Our style and pace may be different from what you're accustomed to, but we aren't going to go so fast you can't keep up, and we aren't going to go so slow that you get bored. But remember, this is a review. It is not nursing school. If you miss something, odds are we are going to repeat it, or you can watch the video again online. As live review students, you can purchase the online series for a discounted price. It's a great way to individualize your study. The only problem is, if you do the online supplemental review, you will be talking like me for 2 weeks. But don't worry, it does wear off, okay? There is a certain amount of information that we are committed to covering while we are here. We've got it planned out day by day on what we want to accomplish every single day. If for some reason you miss something or we skip a blank, remember we're people too, just let us know. At any time, if you have a question or don't understand something, please come to us during a break or after class and let us help you with that information. Now then, we show videos from time to time in class, and there's always that one student that will say, this is a live review, I don't want to watch a video. But y'all, I am alive. Right now in this video, I am alive, okay? You'll be amazed when we pop that DVD in after lunch what a difference it makes in your learning experience. This is a strategy for increasing retention. This is planned and on purpose. Now, we have been completely upfront on how this class works. Occasional DVD presentations, timing, pace, core content, interactive lecture. This is what it is. This is exactly how this week is going to go. If this is not what you expected, you need to check out now, but be sure and leave your materials here. Bye-bye. Now, we have some class rules, so listen closely. These are things we have found make the class go more smoothly. Now listen, we do not sell Hearst student books. If this is your first time to take this course, keep up with your book. It will not be replaced, and don't try to sell it on eBay. By accepting this course and by accepting the book, you have entered into a legal agreement with me. Please take this very seriously. I wouldn't take a chance that the one we pursue is you. It's a felony, and we do pursue the infractions we are made aware of. You have worked too hard for this license to give it up prematurely, okay? Things also may happen that we can't control. If for some reason during the week the DVD player breaks or the sound system goes out, don't worry, we're nurses. We can handle it. Things happen in classes, okay? And we can't always control when the lights go off or when a blizzard hits or when the equipment fails. But we are going to give you everything you need before the end of the week, all right? We are going to be flexible. We are going to get you the content one way or the other. Even if we all have to be evacuated, we are going to get you this content. Lastly, if you are a repeater in this class, we welcome you. But remember the first time you took this course, everything was fresh and all the scenarios were fun and exciting. Well, this time you're going to know all the answers because you are smart now. Please don't ruin it for those here. for the first time by calling out all the answers. We know you're smart because you've already taken the Hurst Review, okay? Sit there with that smile on your face and say, I know this material. I promise we will let you say the answer if no one gets it. Now, by the time we're finished, like I've emphasized, you will have everything you need and you'll know exactly what you need to do when you leave here to pass the first time, okay? You'll be ready to go and tackle this content. You'll never be more motivated to pass the first time than you are right now. So let's get it over with. Come to class rested. Come to class motivated. Be on time. And let's start with the basics and move to the complex. And let's all pass the first time, okay? So let's get started.